Hello everybody, thank you for tuning into my channel. Hopefully you subscribed. If you haven't, go ahead and click the subscribe button at the bottom. Today I'm going to be doing a trend that's on YouTube called rags to riches. Now everybody has their definition of what riches means, and to me it just really means mental freedom, rich in spirit. In no way is this related to the amount of money I have. But I just wanted to do this video to let people know what it took for me to become a nurse / travel nurse and pursuing a career of becoming a nursing instructor. So let's start from the beginning. When I was born, nah, I'm just playing. I'm totally kidding. I'm not going that far back. But I did grow up in a very rough neighborhood. I kind of was becoming a product of my environment. I got into a little bit of trouble, and all it took for me was one time for me to make the decision to change my entire life, because I realized that wasn't the life that I wanted for myself. I can remember walking across railroad tracks with one of my really good friends, and we were having a discussion, and I remember telling her, like, this just isn't it for me. Like, there's something more out there for me, and I'm gonna get it. And so with that being said, I started being more consistent and dedicated to my schoolwork, so dedicated that I ended up graduating high school early. Shout out to God. Never shout out to me, because I could not do it on my own. Along the way, I definitely met people that changed my perspective of the world. Like I said, I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and I went to live with my father, and I remember meeting Jaleesa, may she rest in peace. But Jaleesa really opened my eyes to a world outside of the world that I was living in. She had dreams of going to college, and unfortunately her life was taken way too early. Once again, rest in peace. She definitely exposed me to the other world, and I got involved in programs like AVID, which takes students on field trips to see colleges and things like that. So I was super excited at 16. I thought I had it all figured out, and I thought I was ready for the world. And so I went ahead and moved out and moved in with my sister and enrolled in my first semester of college. And so, like I said, I really didn't have any real guidance. Not many people in my family actually went to college. So this is all new to me, and I went ahead and enrolled in 18 units. Yeah, 18. Woo! Statistics, anatomy, chemistry. Like, I have no idea what I was thinking. I just dove in and went for it, and by the grace of God, I definitely passed those classes. But I'm not saying I had a 4.0, 3.0, none of that. I'm saying I passed. And so with that, during that time, nursing programs in California were very compact, and I remember sitting down with a guidance counselor and her explaining to me the grades that I needed to get into nursing school, and that I didn't have them, and I should consider a different career field. And I was just so discouraged by that conversation, because honestly, I had no idea what else I was gonna do. Like, I was like, so okay, so I'm not gonna be a nurse, so what am I gonna be? What am I gonna do? I just really didn't know. And God really does place people in your life, like, at the right time, right place, and things like that, because I was just sitting in the library, and I think I was probably looking all sad, and, you know, just like trying to figure out, what am I gonna do next? And this guy came up to me, and he like asked me what was wrong, and I told him everything that was going on. And he started telling me about the military, because he was about to leave, and they had this buddy program, and we should sign up. And I was like, oh yeah, my dad was in the Marines. Like, okay, yeah, that sounds good, because I have no idea what I'm getting ready to do. So I went and spoke with the recruiter. I let her know that I definitely wanted to be a nurse, and she explained to me that there would be opportunities to pursue my education and she could get me in the medical field. Pause. She didn't lie, but she didn't tell me everything. And I'm gonna do a video on my military experience, but this is not that, so I'm gonna keep it brief and I'm gonna keep it cute. So I went ahead and went into the military and I got a medical job as a medical technician, which translates to a LVN. It is nothing like the civilian sector. You have no say-so on where you're gonna work. So I was just assigned to a couple of different units. And while I was in, like I said, she told me, she didn't lie, but she didn't tell the truth. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, I'm about to start taking classes and blase, and that, no. I had to do my CDCs first. My CDCs were on back order. It was a bunch of drama. I'm like, I could be taking classes. And, you know, it was a headache. We'll get into that in my military video. Make sure you subscribe so you can see it. Anyway, so make a long story short, I ended up getting a supervisor that really didn't, I don't want to say she didn't care, because she definitely cared. She was actually one of the best supervisors I ever had. Her whole thing was, as long as the mission, like what we needed to have done in the clinic was done, she didn't care if I went to school. So of course I dove right in. This time it was a little bit different. I had a lot more on the line. If you fail a class, this whole punitive action and counseling, I was like, I'm not trying to do that. So I made sure I got that 4.0, and I definitely wanted to do this program called NECP, which is where you transition from the enlisted side to the officer side. But every time I applied, I got deployed. Like literally I would be like, okay, I got into nursing school, I'm about to get into NECP, I'm gonna do this, and then boom, I got served with letters that I was gonna be leaving. And so it was just like, man, like this doesn't really seem like the path that God has chosen for me, but everything truly happens for a reason. I feel like situations like that are what builds character. And if you ever find yourself in that situation, just like I said, just pray, trust God, trust the process. If you put it in your heart, the answer may not be no, it may just be not right now. I think that during that time, I had a lot of growing to do and I had a lot of healing to do. And so with that, I'm so grateful that things played out the way that they did, because I feel like I'm an amazing nurse now. But to finish the story, basically I deployed, I didn't get the NECP program, and when I got back from one of my deployments, I was in a unit that hated me, they didn't like me, they went out of their way to just do things to upset me, to try to get me in trouble. And so I was determined to just get out the military at that point. And I can remember thinking like, man, I'm leaving a lot behind. Like I got a stable job. I'm guaranteed a paycheck every 1st and the 15th. Like, I don't know about this. And I really just took a leap of faith and separated from the military and went to nursing school. So like I said, I was a medic in the military, which translates to an LVN. So when I began my first semester of nursing school, I'm like, oh, this is cake. Until I got to patho. Now, pathophysiology is a whole different thing. You've probably, if you're a nurse or a nursing student, you've probably taken anatomy and physiology, chemistry, and microbiology. And those are difficult courses, but pathophysiology is like next level difficult. Like, I would try to study, I'd be like, it's too much information, it's so boring, I just could not understand anything, and I struggled. But I was just like, oh, but I'm doing good and everything else, you know, so I just took that, ran with it, and I ended up actually like failing, and it was not an easy thing because it was just like, you know, you have a class that you're supposed to like progress with, and I was in danger of not progressing. And so I just kind of was like, I gotta pass. And so I started studying. I went into like groups. I started meeting with different groups of people that would kind of like help me study, and I even studied with people that also were failing, because it was just kind of like, what can we do to like figure out like what are we doing wrong? You may have pieces that I need, I may have pieces that you need. I may can bring you something from this group, you may can bring me something from this group, and I ended up making it. So I was super happy. But during nursing school, it was also financially, I struggled because the military pays you to basically go to school, but it's not a lot. So I really wanted to work, and it was disheartening the way I was treated at job interviews because of my military experience. I thought that all these doors were gonna open, and they just really didn't. I had a couple of jobs tell me that I was overqualified for the position because of my military experience. And I mean, I'm applying to jobs like med tech, CNA, PCA, just trying to just make something. And I can remember this girl who had like no experience, like she had worked at HEB and she got a job as a PCA. And I'm like, bruh, like I'm medically inclined, like I'm trained, like why wouldn't they give me a job? Anyway, it's probably best for me anyway, because I ended up doing like much better in nursing school like the following semesters, and that's probably because I had more time to study. But financially, I definitely struggled through nursing school. And we had this thing called ATI, which is like supplemental learning at the time. Now it's mandatory, but when I went through nursing school, it wasn't mandatory, so I didn't take it seriously. And we had a exit exam, like the ATI predictor, to tell you like how likely you are to pass the NCLEX. And I'm like we got finals, we got this, we got that. Like I don't got time to study for this. And I definitely didn't study, and my predictor score was so low. Like I was like, oh no, like I don't think I'm gonna pass the NCLEX. Like after all this that I done been through, like I need to get out of nursing school and get into the workforce so I can start making some money, because I'm tired. And by the grace of God, I know I've said that like 6 times in this video, but I really mean it, because God be looking out for me. I actually did a review. It's called HERS Review. And I remember like sitting through the test, taking my time, breathing, and getting to like question 68. And I'm like, I'm just gonna take this little break because I'm gonna be here a while. And I came back and I only had a couple more questions, and I passed my first time. So yay to me, and shout out to God. First, shout out to God, then yay to me, but you know what I mean. I passed the NCLEX my first time. I secured a job in the ED, which is something that, you know, they said wouldn't be possible as a new grad. And things actually just kind of worked out for me. And I remember my first job, I didn't want to be one of those people that kind of took advantage of them giving me a job and leaving after 1 year, because in the nursing world, after 1 year, you're actually considered an experienced nurse. And I was gonna stick it out, but I remember like it was just a bunch of things that I just really didn't agree with. And then on top of that, one time, one of the gentlemen that I worked with didn't like me and kind of threw it in my face that he was a tech and he was making the same thing as me. And I was just kind of like, huh? Like, really? And then when we sat down to do my raise, I was like, oh, nah, I gotta go. And so then I moved on to my next job, where I met a nice travel nurse. And she told me all about traveling. And at this point, I had already started like traveling the world, because it was something that I really enjoyed. And I really wanted to just see what else was out there. I kind of started traveling when I was in the military, and it's just something that I continued when I got out. And so once she started telling me about travel nurse, I'm like, wow, that sounds like really cool. Like I could go places that I've already been visiting like multiple times and just stay there for months and get paid and do this and do that. And one of my other friends had also started doing it, and he was telling me, he kind of confirmed what she already told me. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm totally down. So I went on some travel assignments and I kind of learned the way things work. And what I would do is, as I mentioned, or I may have not mentioned this in this video, but at 29, I can proudly, and I mean proudly, say I've moved back home with my parents at least twice. And both of those times have been a blessing, a true blessing, especially as a travel nurse where housing is your most expensive cost, I guess to say. It really helped me do some of the things and gain this freedom that I have because I was able to stay there, save money, and then kind of do what I want. And I'm going to do a video on how to do travel nursing, so make sure you stay tuned, subscribe to that. But yeah, so I did that, and finally I kind of achieved like everything that I had set out to do. And I was sitting thinking to myself like, wow, these goals that I set for myself, even though I say my value lies in the spirit, they were very superficial. Like the things that I wanted to achieve really didn't mean much. And so I kind of had this self-realization, that's the word I'm going to use. And I really just did a deep reflection down within and asked myself, like, what is it that I really want? Like, what do I want out of this life? And I wanted love. I wanted to feel like I was at home, I belonged somewhere, and I wanted to make sure that I was doing what I loved. And that's when I was like, okay, I could travel, I can make money, and this is fun and everything, but I don't have a boyfriend. I really don't have a home. I'm just moving from place to place. And as much as I love ED nursing, I feel like I would be more impactful in the classroom, like teaching students how to properly care for others and making sure, like building their confidence, empowering them and things like that. I feel like that's my stronger point. So I decided to pursue my master's in nursing education, and everything was going smooth until I got to my practicum. But here God goes again, showing up. I could not find a preceptor. Like I searched high, low. People that I knew were no longer practicing, or we couldn't get the license right. And then just like one random day, I went jogging with one of my friends and I ended up running into someone who knew someone, and she connected me and things worked out, and I graduated in May. And I also wrote a book, so make sure you buy my book. Link in the description. And so that was like a huge accomplishment for me. And in writing that book, I'm like, okay, I still got some things I kind of need to do. And that's when I moved here to Houston. And if you follow me on Instagram, you probably thought I already lived here, but I'm just always here. So this is my home, and now I have a boyfriend. And so I'm looking forward to the rest of the journey, and that's just pretty much how I got here. So along your journey, even if you're not becoming a nurse, I just want to say, like, don't let anybody discourage you. If God put it in your heart, or if you believe you're capable of doing something, no matter what is thrown your way, never lose sight of your goal, and just keep trying. You never know how close you are to breaking down that barrier. And also, you never know who's watching you. Somebody may be inspired by your drive and your motivation. So just keep going. You can do it, because had I listened to the guidance counselor that told me to change my career path, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you. And it's been like 6 years. I've been a nurse. You know, I remember how it felt to have somebody just not believe in you and crush your dreams. And also, I know what it felt like to struggle trying to get your dream to come true. Just hang in there. And I'm going to play a little excerpt from a speech that I did a couple of years ago. And if you want to hear the full speech, it is on my website, which is also in the description. Go ahead and click on that. But I hope you enjoy this excerpt, and thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.
In your journey, don't let the world tell you who you are, who you should be. Don't let them tell you where you're going. Only God can tell you that. It doesn't matter what they say about you. Your past is only a reminder of your potential and purpose. Even when the world says it's too late and there is no way you can attain your goals, I want you to know that even then, God can and will intervene on your part. Don't leave the fire the same way you went in. Walk out with your head held high. Choose peace over chaos.